I'm Yoko, and welcome back to Year 12 of GalaxyClan. I have the series playlist linked below and in a card above for anyone new. And real quick, GalaxyClan typically updates the last Sunday of every month unless it's delayed. And I have a family tree that's linked below that I would update in about a week from now. And before we get into things, I have a really short animatic section to explain something, so let's do that real quick. During a gathering, when Brightstar had mentioned that Butterfly Catcher was due for her kids any day now, he was interrupted by a call from below. Thunder Spirit of Creek Clan announced that they were his kits, and he wants Butterfly Catcher to join his clan, which caused a commotion amongst the cats there. Kestrel Star was furious at both his outburst and admittance to breaking the code by having kits with a GalaxyClan cat. Cinnamon Feather shouted at the Nerve for trying to take her sister away, and Thunder Spirit countered that the kits at least were his, and they had Creek Clan blood and the clan could use them. Honeystar quickly brought attention to the moon, seeing it was being covered by clouds, and Melody Star called the gathering to an end, saying that StarClan was upset. Kestrel Star turned to Brightstar and growled that this will not be the last of the matter if these truly are half-clan kits. Brightstar watching her warily, knowing Creek Clan's been struggling a lot with a lack of kits. So yeah, there's your answer as to who Butterfly Catcher had kits with. The game said they were half-clan, so I'll get into that later. But speaking of kits, this was a record-breaking year because we had 22 kittens born. That's right, 22. And because of that, we have another new record because I had to run another harsh winter that I even added some more stuff into, so now we have more kinds of ways they could die. Kitten Boom 2 Electric Boogaloo, how could you do this to us? This video is really long, so let's sadly head into StarClan. First up is Bristlethroat, who sadly passed away at 153 moons old. And she was the only death to have not been because of the generator I had to roll. She was found dead on the territory with a peaceful expression on her face, so it was just old age, it was just her time. She dislocated her joint in the very beginning of the year, and then after that she was complaining of pain a lot, so, you know. Other than that, she seemed to be doing pretty good, but yeah, there's really not too much to say. I'm going to miss this queen. Her refusal to retire was always really funny, and I'm sad to see her go, but on to the mass extinction casualties. I'm gonna start with a new face and ease you into the hard hitters. This is Emerald Jumble, who was 38 moons old and vengeful. She was a great climber and an incredible runner. She actually joined the clan by accident when we really didn't need more cats. She joined in the prompt where a warrior hears a strange sound that's usually a mouse, when we were already overpopulated, so I wasn't happy to see her, to be honest, but I was welcome to learning more about her and keeping her in the clan, but unfortunately she died in the mass extinction. She also joined with 2 kits, one of which being sadly the 1 moon old Polite Trout kit, who is drawn here as well. He was also revealed early on the Discord and he kind of had a cult following, so I'm sad to say that he's dead. Emerald Jumble died of green cough only a moon after joining, and Trout kit was generated to have died from the cold, being found dead in the morning, which is really sad. His full name was generated to be Trout Husk. Emerald Jumble also joined with frostbite on her foot, so I imagine the family had already been struggling in harsh winter, which might have been some of the reason why they didn't survive. And I'm sad that we didn't really get to know them better, but at least there's still one living member of the family that we'll talk about later. But yeah, on to the others. Cinderspeck sadly passed away at 77 moons old due to green cough as well. And he was still pretty nervous and concerned this year. He asked Swanleaf if she ever pondered mortality and seemed kind of defeated. When a kit showed interest in becoming a medicine cat, he actually took over the role of mentor again. But patrols were never seeming to go well. We just seem to have a lack of herbs lately, and the damage from the fire should have been healed by now, but maybe it damaged the clan more than expected. It just seems like they can never find anything. Either way, this lack of herbs was very stressful, and when so many cats caught green cough this year, he was doing his best, and I think his apprentice helped him be more motivated to leave camp. I also like to think he did finally return to the Moonfall with some help. But yeah, I'm very sad that he's gone, but at least he can see his loved ones now. I am also sad to report that Swanleaf and Lightfoot did indeed get together, but they both died of green cough. Also, I swear not everyone died of green cough. And for clarification, they were in a hinge polyamorous relationship where Lightfoot was mates with both Dark Whistle and Swanleaf, but Dark and Swan were not together, because I get a lot of people concerned about that whenever a poly relationship is brought up. So I hope that clarifies things. And these two actually had a litter together this year. Swanleaf surprisingly being the one to birth them, with the help of a donor outside the clan named Oriole. I feel like Swanleaf knew that Lightfoot loved kits and might have agreed to have some despite being nervous. Sadly, one of their kits, the 2-moon-old bossy egret kit, didn't survive, and she died of sickness as well. Not surprising when both her moms were sick. Her full name would have been Egret Whisper. These two seemed happy together, and Dark Whistle didn't really mind. He seemed happy as well. But Swanleaf was tormented with various nightmares this year. She had a very concerning prompt that mentioned a dream with dark clouds and a cat's paw devoid of claws. She also had nightmares about a rushing river. So Swanleaf was quite stressed even though she was trying to be happy. And Lightfoot got the skill Prophecy Seeker, which I was really excited to see for the dynamic, honestly. And now I'm very sad. But yeah, both our senior medicine cats died and left behind an apprentice who we'll get to later. So that's concerning. Next up is Pantherstorm, who died at only 26 moons old. And big blood warning for a picture, I'll let you know when it's gone, going up in 3, 2, 1. Pantherstorm was killed by the wolves. Brightstar had tried to save them, but ran away severely injured after seeing that they were already beyond saving. And the picture is gone. They also actually received another injury to their bad leg, getting bit by a small dog this year as well. Pantherstorm got an apprentice, and I swear they were cursed with patrols, because they just kept running into everything dangerous, and Pantherstorm had a very anxious year, to be honest. I felt really bad for them. But next up is sadly their younger brother, the playful Tulip Leopard, who died at 11 moons old, and he actually died as an apprentice, but I granted him his full name in StarClan. Which I will do for anyone who dies at 10 moons or older, because I think that's the youngest you can become a warrior in-game, correct me if I'm wrong. Tulip Paw was apprenticed to his grandma Fernheart and needed to get coaxed by Dark Whistle during his ceremony since he was nervous. It's also very interesting that he was interested in prophecies after seeing that Lightfoot became a prophecy seeker. Tulip Paw had a lot of fun with Fernheart and chased out a couple of rogues actually. But he and a few other apprentices snuck out on their own one time, resulting in a major accident, but we'll get to that later. As for how he died, big blood warning for a picture going up in 3, 2, 1. Tulip Paw was actually hunted and killed by Silkfur. Tulip Paw had put up a fight, but sadly couldn't escape, and the picture is gone. So for the generator, I had a low chance for Silkfur to hunt and attack a few specific cats in the clan. These cats being ones that Mintsplash had looked at with malice in-game, and for some reason Tulip Paw was on that list. Maybe because he was apprenticed to Fernheart, I don't know. Either way, I'm very sad that he's gone and didn't technically gain his name while he was alive. I imagine Brightstar has a new ceremony that he does to grant fallen apprentices their warrior name if they were old and seem to have earned it. Next up is sadly our deputy, Ottertail, who died at 96 moons old. He died when getting trapped in a massive winter storm while hunting. Side note, cats can change personality at all stages of life, and Ottertail actually gained the fierce trait instead of bold. A few other cats are different. With the death of Ottertail, I also have to bring up that every other clan actually lost their deputy this year, which was concerning. I don't actually think Ottertail was doing the best as deputy though. He had been hoping for a break and was actually arguing with Butterfly Catcher to the point that Brightstar had to break them up. I think he saw his past mistakes that he had with Blazehair with her, but I'll get into that later. On a better note, he actually went on patrol with the new Medicine Cat apprentice and let them boss him around, remembering what it was like to be young, and I thought that was really sweet. And let's finally talk about the babies. So Ottertail and Cloudjay had a litter with the help of a surrogate named Ermine, I should have looked that up. Reminder, cat litters can have multiple dads, so I decided that half were biologically Ottertails and half were biologically Cloudjays. Sadly, the 1-moon-old Daring Mud Kit and the Quiet Forest Kit were both of the kits who were biologically Ottertails. I feel really bad for Cloudjay, but we'll get to him later. Forest Kit's full name would have been Forest Pelt, but I probably would have changed that to be more unique because I'm not the biggest fan of Pelt. And Mud Kit's name would have been Mud Nest, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm now scared that GalaxyClan might have a deputy curse, but we'll have to see if that continues. But moving on, sadly Lavender Heather died as well at 49 moons old. She actually died in the storm with her uncle Ottertail, and I think that's really sad. Especially considering that they were probably both trying to provide for their families in camp because Lavender Heather and Whisperies also had kits. They had my favorite number of kits. 5. Sadly, their son Olive Kit died of green cough as well. He was a know-it-all and 5 moons old, so he was really close to becoming an apprentice. He'd also decided to wear some cardinal feathers that he was playing with, and now I kind of want to give all of their kits accessories because That was so on brand for a Lavender Wisp kit. His full name would have been Olive Spots. Back to Lavender Heather, she really got kicked down at her peak. She had an apprentice, had a family that she loved, she had deputy goals as well. It seemed to run in her family. She really cared about other cats, checking up on both Holopath and Butterfly Catcher, which is interesting, but you'll see why. She also pretended to be a captured warrior for her kits and had the status that she was watching a clan ceremony the moon that the other ones became apprentices. And my heart hurts, and I will miss her. Speaking of her, next up is sadly Butterfly Catcher, who died of green cough at 37 moons old. This girl had caused so much drama. So when her 5 kits were born, well, first I screamed because why is it always 5? Can you guys not? But the game said they were half clan, so I checked some stuff, and one of her kits was named Perch Kit, which is a fish, which makes me think of Creek Clan. And another one of them was named Lightning Kit, which brought my attention to a Creek Clan cat named Thunder Spirit, who I imagine she met after the fire last year when GalaxyClan was sheltering in Creek Clan for a bit. Also, Creek Clan declared war on us this year, the very moon that her kits were born, so you know. But no one actually died and nothing really happened, so I didn't really do anything related to the war. It was really short, and on the moon that it ended, one of her kits actually got kidnapped by Two Legs in-game, but I'm choosing to say that they went to Creek Clan instead for the plot. We'll get into that later, though. Also, I think Butterfly still liked Thunder Spirit, hence the fight that she had with Ottertail. He managed to move on and tried to redeem his mistakes, but I think he might have been a little upset at her because it seemed like she might continue making mistakes. Interestingly, Holopath asked out Butterfly Catcher this year, but she rejected him despite liking him back. And I think that might have been a combination of still having feelings for Thunder Spirit and knowing that her sister also likes him. But yeah, that's our first actual rejection in the clan. But overall, Butterfly Catcher has been messy this year, but I'm still sad to see her go. Oh yeah, she also got her leg hurt by a dog, and when she was on patrol with Swanleaf, they had a Star Clan visitor, which I like to think was Orangeback visiting them, which was kind of sad and cute, but moving on. Unfortunately, next up is Butterfly Catcher's daughter, the 10-moon-old strict Perch Freckle. Again, she died as an apprentice, but I gave her name anyway. She was more of a goofball in her younger days, but became more serious as time went on. She was apprenticed to Panther Storm, and they actually ran into wolves on their very first patrol, which was quite scary. They ended up watching them and scavenging the leftover scraps from their prey. I feel like she was scared into taking things seriously, and she was very upset when one of her siblings was hurt after following the bad influence of another sibling when the apprentices went out on their solo patrol. She was very mad at the recklessness of that cat, and Perchpot actually ended up dying when she desperately chased prey onto the frozen river only for the ice to break, leading to her drowning, which is very sad. But it's also kind of ironic because she's named after a fish and she has Creek Clan blood, so it's just lots of symbolism stuff there. It's painful. Also, if you remember earlier, Swanleaf had a nightmare about the river, and I think it might have been a warning of this. But yeah, last up in StarClan is another Butterfly Catcher kit, the adventurous Gardenia Claw, who died of green cough as an apprentice as well, granting her name in StarClan. She also inherited her dad's extra toes, which I'm probably not going to draw on any other image with possible siblings that have the extra toes. Just remember that some of them have extra toes. As a kit, she snuck out of camp, and she was later apprenticed to Cinnamon Feather, her aunt. They ran into a fox on their first patrol, and Cinnamon Feather took on most of the work, biting into the fox's neck. Unfortunately, a different fox did manage to get a bite on Gardenia Paw. She didn't want to patrol for Sister Perchpaw, who she found to be boring, and she was the one who ended up recruiting all of the apprentices. Not all of them, but the group of them that went on that solo patrol, which led to one of her own siblings getting hurt, which she was very distressed at. Finally seeming to realize that some actions do indeed have consequences. I was sad to see her die because I was really interested in seeing her potential growth after that as a character, but yeah, that's all of our deaths, so let's finally get to the living cats. Starting with Brightstar, who is now 86 moons old, and Fernheart is currently in the nursery if you're wondering where she is, because they had more kits this year. Brightstar was actually very worried about Fernheart's safety for reasons I'll get into later, but she wasn't doing the best. But all 3 of their babies actually survived, which is a win. Despite that, Brightstar keeps having tough years, I swear. Wars, fires, harsh winters, murderers. It's hard to be GalaxyClan's leader. He lost a life this year when he tried to save He lost a life this year when he tried to save He lost a life this year when he tried to save Panther Storm from the wolves. I actually rolled how many lives he lost to the wolves since he had the potential to just straight up die here, but he lucked out and got the lowest amount of lives, being just 1. I imagine he escaped the wolves but lost the life later due to his injury. It seems Brightstar has been looking towards StarClan for answers, and he had a status about being sad that he couldn't spend more time with Laketree, which is interestingly the cat who received the prophecy that seems to have shaped his overall destiny. I'm choosing to interpret this as Brightstar is currently having a crisis slightly over whether he's leading his clan well, and that he's kind of looking for hope right now. He honestly isn't doing the best. He lost yet another deputy with Ottertail, and he chose someone unexpected for this next one. The now 34-moon-old Burnett Flicker was chosen to take over as deputy. And I was rooting for Flaxroar, but this is also welcome. Surprising, but welcome. Honestly, good for her. She qualifies for the position because she currently has an apprentice. Burnett Flicker has been doing a lot of training, and it seems to have paid off with her getting Brightstar to notice her. Also, I'm just gonna keep letting Brightstar or any future leaders pick deputies. I think it's fun. She also had the status of promising to protect the kits, and overall it seems that she's grown into a very protective cat. Especially of her apprentice, because I keep bringing this up and leaving you hanging, but they were the ones that got hurt on the apprentice-only patrol. Burnett Flicker was not upset at them for sneaking out, and she's been doing her best to help them adapt. Honestly, these two have my heart, but yeah, surprising choice, but I really like it. I'm rooting for a Burnett star. Time to head into the medicine cat den, where the only medicine cat is the 11-moon-old Strange Flamepaw, who is a lover of stories. He's one of Butterfly Catcher's kits, and as before mentioned, he was apprenticed to Cinderspeck after he said he couldn't stand the thought of fighting, and he wasn't having the easiest time training due to both the lack of herbs apparently, and also the fact that he was missing a sibling who went to Creek Clan. Missing family has gotten even worse after Butterfly Catcher, Perchpaw, and Gardenia Paw all died. He went from having 4 siblings in the clan to only 1, so he's really struggling. Also, he seems popular, with some apprentices being impressed with his growth and other cats wanting to get to know him. He feels a lot of pressure being the only medicine cat, especially after a massive green cough outbreak, which he caught as well, but he survived. He's planning on asking medicine cats for help finishing his training. For context, his experience is still in the 20s in-game, so he's very behind. By the way, he'll get his medicine cat accessory once he receives his full name in-game, so if you have any ideas for what he'll wear, let me know. Moving on, we do have a mediator this year, but they're in the nursery, so we'll get to the warriors first. Flaxroar is 50 moons old, and she's very distressed. Lavender Heather's death hit her hard, and she misses her sister. She's now lost 3 sisters, both her parents, and her past apprentice, and she's not handling it well at all. She seems to be really clinging to her brother, and before the tragic events, they actually ran into Coyote together, which they reported to Brightstar. This is the first time GalaxyClan has ran into a coyote in-game, so I feel like they were very concerned with the new dog-like creature considering the nightmare the wolves have become. Also, I noticed that Flaxroar has a small crush on Fernheart, which is unexpected. I don't think that will go anywhere, but I bring up any small crushes anyway. But next up is Hollowpath, and oh boy, this guy had a busy year. First off, his personality changed to Bloodthirsty, so that's concerning. I gave him a small ear scar because the consensus from the last video was, yes, keep slapping small scars on him if the game says he got one. And this is supposed to be the one that he got from the rogue last year, so just pretend that he had that last year. Hollowpath actually had 2 apprentices this year. He finished training 1 and then got handed another one this very last moon. He seems to really actually enjoy this, and I have an idea that part of his training is making them try to do things with their eyes closed and use their other senses. I think he likes to prepare them for anything and takes pride in his scenting abilities. He seems like he'd be a mean mentor, but he actually whispered quiet encouragements to a nervous apprentice during their ceremony, and he kind of has my heart right now. As mentioned earlier, he tried to ask out Butterfly Catcher and was rejected. But maybe that was for the best considering she died. He does still also like Cinnamon Feather, so we'll see if that goes anywhere. But a big thing is that he definitely has a direct connection with Frecklespot. She was smiling slyly at him again this year, and I can't tell if she's messing with him and potentially causing all of his accidents, or if she's attempting to recruit and train him just to get back at Burdock Star. Which would be very ironic. Why does the Burdock Star / Dust Cloud family keep having so much connections with the Stoneleaf family? Very interesting. Either way, Hollowpath had the status of wanting to kill a certain cat this year, but he has no dislike for anyone in the clan, so it's either about someone outside the clan, Silkfur maybe, or Frecklespot. And with Frecklespot seeming the most likely to me, I think it's her. If she is training him, I think it's a case of she thinks she's doing something, but he hates her. But yeah, moving on, next is the 43-moon-old Whispries, who is currently grieving her mate and son. She actually took over the training of Lavender Heather's apprentice, and Whispries was happy to be able to have her dad there for the birth of her kids, and she is grateful for his help in this tough time. Her remaining kids have also just become apprentices, and she did her best to cheer loud enough, hoping that Lavender Heather could hear them as well. And that broke my heart, especially because Lavender Heather was actually watching from StarClan. She was also wishing that Olive Kit could have become an apprentice. Whispers actually had the status of not feeling understood by her clanmates, so I think she's feeling really lonely right now. Overall, she's sad, but she's doing her best to be there for her 4 remaining kits. Next up is the 38-moon-old Cinnamon Feather, and this poor girl, she's such a sweetheart, and despite everything, she still tries to be happy. When her sister had her kits, she was upset at the fact that she hid the truth, but she stood by her sister and just begged her not to leave and go to Creek Clan. She was also telling the kids stories, and she's a really good aunt. She was given one of them as an apprentice, and I need to reiterate that this adorable baby had a fox by the throat. She's actually kind of feisty, but she's so cute, you kind of forget. But yeah, the last moon was a gut punch as both Butterfly Catcher and Gardenia Paw died. Cinnamon Feather is now the only one left from her litter and is feeling really lonely. I think Brightstar noticed that because he did give her a new apprentice to help her keep her spirits up, and I think it's working. Moving on, Pound Splinter is now 34 moons old, and he seems to have a lot of thoughts lately. He was rethinking his life choices again earlier in the year, and I think he's been thinking of telling Brightstar about the fact he trained with Mint Splash when he was younger. A thing that I do hope he does, because Brightstar needs to know about these Dark Forest shenanigans going on. Beyond that, Pound Splinter warned Sharp Clan of badger scent on their border, and overall has been doing a pretty good job. He seems proud of his sister for being chosen as deputy, and they've been getting along really well recently. He also really hasn't been showing bloodthirsty thoughts beyond practicing forbidden battle moves, which he already knew from his Dark Forest days. I imagine he was horrified at the news that Silkfur killed an apprentice, and that might be pushing him to want to tell Brightstar things. Next up is Umber Curl, who is 33 moons old, and she's interesting this year. She's been wanting to go on a journey, and she was also engaging the kits in a game of make-believe. She has a very big imagination. She also got an apprentice and is doing her best. But, Umber Curl, honey, can you tell me why you asked out Cloud J to be your mate the literal moon after Ottertail died? I didn't even realize that she liked Cloud J until this, because when I was looking out for her crushes, I was focusing on cats that were closer to her age that, like, the Discord is shipping her with, like Pound Splinter and Burnett Flicker, things like that, you know, her age. Cloud J rejected her because, of course he did, his mate just died. Umber Curl's a mess, and she literally tried to swoop in the moment there was an opportunity. Honey, why? But yeah, moving on. Next, we have the 22-moon-old newly named Hope Fern. When I saw her suffix was going to be Fern, I died laughing because, oh my god, Brightstar loves his wife. But yeah, Hope Fern was honored for her valor, and oops, she's bloodthirsty now. She really took after her mentor Pound Splinter in that regard. She also has a deep StarClan bond and is a good kit sitter, so it's a really interesting combination of stuff. And she was also pretending to be a captured warrior for a kit, so that checks out. She also thought she was part of a prophecy, but it seems that she might have been part of an omen instead, because if you remember Swanleaf's vision about the clouds and the cat with no claws, well, on the same moon that the extinction event occurred with the giant storm and harsh winter, Hope Fern was kidnapped by Two Legs, but she came back literally the next moon. My side clans really need some of this luck. GalaxyClan, please hand it over. But I have a rule that if a cat is taken by Two Legs, they have 3 moons until they get fixed. So she's not fixed and she can still have kits. She did, however, get declawed and she's disabled now. And I'm using this as a PSA section to say, do not declaw cats. It's illegal in some places, and it is amputation and it cripples them, causing chronic pain for the rest of their life. But yeah, Hope Fern is adapting, but she's really upset and kind of angry for good reason. Brightstar did still give her an apprentice though, which she was grateful for. Also, Hope Fern has a very small one-sided crush on Burnett Flicker, which I find kind of interesting. But next up is the newly named Branch Deer. who is 16 moons old, fierce, and incredibly clever. Also a good fighter. And speaking of Hopefern's one-sided crush on Burnett Flicker, he actually has a one-sided crush on Hopefern. And I'd be down for either of these when they get a bit older, so we'll see if anything happens. Branchpaw was apprenticed to Hollowpath when he caught a rabbit in a burrow on his very first patrol. Branchpaw also lost his tail to a falling tree, and I'm gonna be honest, he didn't actually lose it in-game. It just got scarred. But I took away his tail because I knew he was getting deer as a suffix. And long story short, sorry Branch Deer, I thought it made too good of a design. After the accident, he was asking Hollowpath for advice, and it seems like he really respects him. While he was still an apprentice, he sunk his teeth into a fox's neck as well, and he was honored for his ferocity during his warrior ceremony. He was interested in the kits, and it seems that Brightstar noticed what he wanted because Branch Deer just got an apprentice. He also caught green cough during the outbreak, but luckily he survived. But yeah, here's Branch Deer. Now let's head into the apprentice den. Because Rainpaw is still an apprentice at 12 moons old, she is responsible and a lover of stories. Rainpaw also came out as bigender and uses both she and he pronouns, and he came out literally right after becoming an apprentice, and I like to imagine he did it during the ceremony, just like, oh yeah, while you're all here, this is me. Love that for them. She was also apprenticed to Umbercurl and caught a small mouse on their first patrol together. As a kit, she picked flowers from around the camp and brought them to the medicine cat den. And the image of Lightfoot potentially asking her to do that because of the crush on Swanleaf is kind of adorable. Rainpaw seems to look out for other apprentices a lot, showing a younger one around the den and thinking that Flamepaw will be a great medicine cat in the future. I imagine she's still an apprentice because 1, Rainpaw actually caught green cough as well. And 2, he's recovering from the shock of Tulippaw, Lightfoot, and possibly even Swanleaf's death as well. So, you know, the same can be said about Pricklepaw, who is charismatic and quick to make peace. He's a little rascal, honestly, and is definitely the one who took after his mom the most. He was apprenticed to Lavender Heather, and they chased out a rogue on their first patrol. He was also scolded for some reckless behavior, but he still chose to follow Gardenia Paw on the solo adventure that led to the incident, which hit him kind of hard because he's really close and slightly crushing on that apprentice. When they were both kits, he actually gave her a flower, which she's still wearing, and that was adorable. After Lavender Heather's death, he was given to Whisperies to take over his training, and he seems pretty down after the tragedy that the clan has gone through. A lot of cats are sad this year. Sorry. But next up is the 11-moon-old nervous Lightning Paw, who is quick to make peace and has an active imagination. She's another butterfly catcher kit, and this is finally the apprentice that got hurt in the accident. Big blood warning for a picture going up in 3, 2, 1. She got hit by a monster on the apprentice patrol, and she was injured to the point of losing one of her legs. And the other apprentices were freaking out. And the picture is off the screen now. She didn't seem to blame her sister for the incident, but Lightning Paw has always been a bit of a pushover, and she kind of gave into the peer pressure of joining the patrol. And I feel really bad for her. She squeaked with nervousness when she was apprenticed to Burnett Flicker, and they ran into a harmless kitty pet on their first patrol that they had to tell, hey, this is GalaxyClan territory, you might want to leave. And Burnett Flicker is actually a really good mentor choice, and I'm hoping she helps Lightning Paw get a bit more confident. Also, as before mentioned, Pricklepaw gave her the flower that she's currently wearing when they were kits, and she's still wearing it, and I think that's really cute. I kind of really like their dynamic, whether or not they become mates later. Lightning Paw is just a sweetheart in general, and she was also pulling ticks off Cinderpetal. She's baby, I love her. But next up, we're starting the 6-moon-old Lavender Wisp kits with Wormpaw, and he is nervous and an avid play fighter. He also rolled the really low chance of bringing back Odd's Bobtail. Also, Worm as a prefix is such an odd family thing to do. Wormpaw is the kit that looks the most like Lavender Heather coloring-wise, and Whisperies kinda babies him. Wormpaw hoped that Lavender Heather was watching with pride when he was apprenticed to Cinnamon Feather, and she was. That hurts my heart still. I keep bringing it up, but it's so sad. And he caught a squirrel on his first patrol. Him and his siblings were all just made apprentices, so there's really not too much to say about them, because they haven't had too much time to show personality, but I really love him. He's a little nervous baby, and he's adorable. Next up is Pansy Paw, who is playful, a lover of stories, and quick to make peace. She also rolled to inherit both the blep tongue and the fangs, which is something people have been wanting for a while, so it's exciting to finally see it. Pansy Paw also had speckled paw pads in-game, so she got to have them. Pansy Paw has been a goofball since birth, and she really carries that odd family energy. I also made her look like her great-grandpa Bat a bit, so that's fun. She was apprenticed to Hope Fern, and they actually let a dog away from the territory on their very first patrol. But considering that Hope Fern is recovering from being declawed and Pansy Paw is a brand new apprentice, I imagine it was actually just a friendly dog that they just let away peacefully. Hope Fern having a heart attack at the time at Pansy Paw's lack of fear. Pansy Paw is so cute, and she's actually my favorite of all the kits this year. And don't hold me to making her spots 100% accurate every year. I will be trying. Pretty kits, but at what cost? Speaking of, the next sibling is Brindlepaw, who I'm also going to regret the design of, probably. Brindlepaw is strict, an avid play fighter, and confident with words. And I feel like some of those contradict each other, so as of right now, I think she's like the kid that tries to act more serious to be more adult-like, which is really fitting with her trying to look unimpressed but being super excited on the inside when she was apprenticed to Branch Deer. And she caught a rabbit on her first patrol, much like he did on his first patrol, which I think was a fun callback despite it being within the same year. But yeah, she hasn't really done much, but I'm kind of loving her serious but not quite thing she has going on. But next up is her sister Trufflepaw, who was renamed by you guys on community polls because her original name was Prickle Kit, and we already have one. And there was a ton of confusion, so real quick, a truffle is a type of mushroom. She's not named after the chocolate. Trufflepaw was an insecure kit, and she's still insecure as an apprentice, poor baby. She also has an active imagination. She was apprenticed to Holopath, and she's the apprentice I mentioned that he whispered quiet encouragement to. They helped train hunting techniques on their first patrol, and as before mentioned, I like to think Holopath was having her practice using her other senses during it. Side note, I love that Holopath got one of his nieces as an apprentice, and I kind of wish that Flaxroar did too. But yeah, Wormpaw and Trufflepaw are the nervous babies of the litter, and I want to protect them both. But let's head into the Elder's Den, as well as introduce the first new kit. Cinderpetal still lives at 147 moons old, and he is our only Elder again, with no other cats in the clan even coming close. And I'm drawing this kitten with him because her name is Stone Kit, and she is the polite 2-moon-old only survivor of her family after the death of Emerald Jumble and Trout Kit. I'm not saying Cinderpetal adopted her for the sake of wanting new blood and not mixing anything up, but he's definitely got an attachment because she kind of literally looks like she has his and his brother's fur combined, and she was named Stone Kit, so you know Stoneleaf. Complete coincidence, the loner has no idea who Stoneleaf was, but he's been trying to cheer up the baby, and he is now very attached to her. The nursery is very crowded, and Cinderpetal doesn't mind company in the Elder's Den if any queens want some space. I imagine Whisperies might have spent a night or two with her family in here. I am so happy that Cinderpetal is still around to see his grandkids. Also, he has such high luck surviving these generators, I swear. Beyond the kits, he's really just been more of the same, but with more complaining about pain, so, you know, old age stuff, kind of catching up to him. And that makes me sad a bit. But he seems happy right now. So yeah, let's move into the nursery, where I'm probably going to just skim over most of the kits. Most of them are babies and have very little personality showing anyway. First up is Dark Whistle, who is here at 56 moons old, even though these kits are Swanleaf and Lightfoots. The kits being the 3-moon-old Insecure Weasel kit and the Bullying Beetle kit. And we have a Calico in the clan, which makes me super happy, but I'm concerned with her morbid curiosity. As before mentioned, Swanleaf was the one who actually gave birth to these kits, and I'm really sad that she won't be here to see them grow. Dark Whistle got along great with Swanleaf, helping her find Lungwort, which apparently he had a talent for. And he didn't seem to have any jealousy towards Lightfoot being mates with both of them, so I'm really sad we didn't really get to see the Hinge Polycule last that long. I think it would have been fine. Dark Whistle also was given nettles to wear from Bristlethroat while she was still around, and I thought that was really cute. Sadly, Dark Whistle still does seem to be suffering from nightmares, having run out of the den one time freaked out and ready for battle, but realizing it was just a storm. Also, I noticed that he sadly lost his shameless trait when aging up, so he's bold now instead of shameless. He seemed to take the deaths of his mate and 2 of his kids pretty hard, and he actually declared that he wanted to be a mediator the moon after the tragedies. So Dark Whistle is our first mediator now. I've been waiting for the game to pick one on its own, and it's fun to finally have one. I'm not actually gonna do mediator stuff unless he says in-game that he's doing something like mediating a couple's relationship or something, but other than that, I'm just gonna let him vibe and not mess with it. But yeah, Dark Whistle kind of seems pretty sad, and I don't blame him, but he also seems like he's trying to do his best. I'm wishing good luck for his future. Next up, we have Dark Whistle's mom, Fernheart, who is now 78 moons old, and she is in the nursery as well, with her 3 kits that are 2 moons old. The kits being the charming Magpie Kit, who is renamed via community post because the game is laughing at me at this point by originally naming him Mint Kit. Can the game please stop trying to remind Fernheart of trauma? Can we leave Mint Splash behind? But we also have the Bullying Lizard Kit and the Impulsive Snip Kit, who concerningly is interested in the Dark Forest, which I'm taking to mean he inherited his dad's ability to just poof into the Dark Forest, which terrifies me and I am worried for his safety. Also, full transparency, he is a solid colored kit in-game, but he rolled to inherit Brightstar's mask as well as Speckle-Nose's mane, which will be more apparent when he's older, but it's cool to see that they came back. Back to Fernheart. I'm rolling for Brightstar's mask on any kits that don't really have patterning on their face because apparently his pelt pattern is really rare in the new version now. Back to Fernheart, she was actually doing really good this year. As before mentioned, she mentored Tulip Paw, and he didn't really request a formal mentor change when she was expecting kits, and they got along really well. His death hit her pretty hard, along with losing her brother Cinderspeck, which was even harder. Fernheart also warned BugClan of a badger scent on their territory, and in general, she's been very nice this year. I also imagine she's providing support to Dark Whistle right now. Her surviving kits really do seem to be struggling. Hope Fern and Dark Whistle both. She was also struggling for a bit after the birth of this litter due to the fact that she actually caught green cough as well. And I imagine both that and the strain of a new litter was really hard on her damaged lungs. I'm actually going to switch off Fernheart's ability to have kits for now because I feel like she has enough and I don't want her constantly stuck in the nursery or straining herself. I might turn it back on after a year, I'm not sure. I think this might be it for Fern. But last up in here is her younger brother Cloud J, who is now 59 moons old, and the nursery is a giant Raven Aspen family get-together right now, I swear. Interestingly, Cloud J actually changed personality from cold to bold. So I think Ottertail really melted his shell a bit, which is really sad to think about because he's gone now. Their 2 living kits are the 2-moon-old Nervous Stag Kit and the Know-It-All Euro Kit. Both biologically being Cloud J's, which kind of makes me sad. I wish he got to at least keep one of the biologically Ottertail kits, kind of in memory. Cloud J was doing so well this year, and he told Ottertail about his warning of the fire and asked if he had advice about how to fix his mistakes. Ottertail basically reassured him and calmed him down, telling him to just be a good warrior now and live for his clan. He's also surprisingly such a cute, loving dad, and Cloud J helped a kit that stumbled over their own paws. My heart. It was so cute seeing Cloud J happy. After Ottertail's death, he's been pretty angry around everyone that isn't his kits. He was also appalled at the audacity of Umbercurl to ask him out right after Ottertail died. That still takes me back. He was on a patrol on the very last moon that smelled BugClan scent on the territory. And when they followed it, they found a cat that was hiding in a tree from a dog. And since I proceeded before they knew a dog was on there, I was surprised and proud to see that Cloud J apparently took on the dog. He's grown so much. I was happy until I saw that on that very same moon, Mint Splash was whispering in his ear. Get out of his ear. And I think that's more of a case that Mint Splash was taunting him over his failures and possible the death of some of his loved ones. And I think Cloud J just got really angry and charged the dog to prove that he could, and not a case of Mint Splash recruiting him. But we'll see next year, I guess. Moving on. Outside of GalaxyClan, this is the 11-moon-old Fallowpaw. She's confident and a mossball hunter. And this is the before-mentioned butterfly catcher kit that was taken to live in Creek Clan. I mentioned before, but technically she's taken by 2 legs right now in-game. But I like this plot point better, so I'm doing this. But this is proof that GalaxyClan doesn't have a 100% success rate of lost cats finding their way home in the same year. I'm actually really sad that Fallowpaw left. She's really pretty, so I hope she comes back someday. I imagine she was upset hearing that her mom and 2 siblings died while she was gone. I also never really know if I should draw lost and exiled cats before or after the clan, so let me know what you think, because I always want to draw the ones that are new lost ones before everything, but I don't really want to split it up, so I'm confused. Also, for lost and exiled cats, I'm not really planning on redrawing them. unless they have like an age up or they gained a scar, just for the sake of time. There's not too much to say about Fallowpaw. There's not too much to say about Fallowpaw since she's been gone and hasn't had the most interesting statuses. She's done things like looking at clouds. But if she's still in Creek Clan / Lost by next year, I'll say she earned her warrior name. But we'll see. Also, if she stayed in GalaxyClan, she would have been apprenticed to Lightfoot. And we were robbed. Lightfoot died without ever getting an apprentice because of Creek Clan. Last up, though, is Silkfur, and he's been very bad. I'm redrawing him since Tulip Paw managed to scar and blind one of his eyes during the fight. Silkfur has had a lot of statuses related to wishing harm in GalaxyClan, and I think Mintsplash has him right where he wants him. At this point, Silkfur seems like Mintsplash's assassin, and with the death of Tulip Paw, he finally has a successful kill. Also, I'm starting to wonder if Silkfur is sabotaging new growth of herbs or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm going crazy, but we have nothing in our stores, apparently. There was 2 low chance options during the generator. Either Silkfur could have attacked someone like he did, or he could have come begging to rejoin the clan, either being accepted or turned away. So I did have a chance at him not being bad this year, but yeah, it seems he's sadly committed to his role of being a villain. But yeah, that's year 12 of GalaxyClan. Please don't have this many kits again ever, I beg you. With this lack of couples and Fernheart essentially on baby hiatus, I don't actually know if we'll have kits at all next year. I guess we'll have to find out. I don't really have time to make bonus pictures for the other clans like I did last year. I'm honestly surprised that we only lost 7 kits out of the 22, but I'm very concerned that most of our clan is pretty young now. Let me know who your favorite is of the new kids born this year, and yeah, that's year 12. GalaxyClan updates every last Sunday of the month, so expect year 13 around Halloween, which is fitting. It's a longer wait than usual, so sorry. Check out the many links below, including the family tree, this harsh leaf bear generator, my channel Discord, and my socials. My commissions are open if you'd like to support me that way, and with that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!